A few words about that part of the development pyramid, which is shown on the left side of the diagram, and we call it the pyramids of the left wing. In general, these are pyramids of an active form of life, that is, a manifested life and our existence in life. However, it is more than just existence. It is about our active activity, because fundamentally, when we talk about the words drive and life position, I mean an active life position. The pyramid exists to shape this active life position, and if we talk about an active life position, it is likely appropriate to use the word leadership. In other words, leadership is a certain function in life or a property when a person takes on responsibility, or rather when a person accepts the challenge for change. Therefore, all three pyramids that we see in the left wing and the pyramids of the right wing, all three pyramids of the right wing represent people. Striving for change, conduits of change, people who are capable of emerging from a state of oblivion or a state of monotonously repeating communal existence into some other reality. So we have a person at the center, and the person has their somatic levels, levels of sensations, and levels of their impressions, arguably, and they are reflected in the activities he engages in the activities that we can call leadership. So what is leadership? Leadership, and how we propose to approach leadership, is to view it as a heroic idea, because the essence of the first step that defines a hero is to hear the call of fate. Hearing the call of fate means that I am capable of listening to the calls of fate and reacting to them in one way or another. I may not always be obliged to accept them, but at least the fact that I hear them means that sooner or later I begin to respond to a good opportunity, a new proposal, or some external situation. These are all calls of fate, and if I respond to them, I effectively take on the position of a hero. This is where our heroic journey begins, and this is where the life and birth of a leader starts. We propose to look at all levels of a leader from the perspective of a hero, following the same hierarchical model. What hierarchies can exist in a heroic life, and what hierarchies can exist in leadership positions? In this sense, at the first level, which is usually a physical, mundane level, the simplest one, we are talking about athleticism, athlete. An athlete is a person who has essentially already taken a leadership position in life simply because they are at least interesting to themselves, and they are sufficiently. A lot of time from great culture relates to its body. For example, in ancient cultures, athletes were equated with gods. Olympic champions were given statues and regarded as divine beings. In general, an athlete is already a person who serves as an example for others simply by the way they look and the condition of their body. An athlete represents the first heroic phase, likely related to the environment. We can easily and clearly distinguish an athlete just by sight. We are capable of seeing, and to distinguish them from frail people, from people who pay no attention to their body, their physical condition, and do not develop themselves in any way. In this sense, taking care of oneself is not just about self-care, it is about developing oneself, at least through the body. This can even be somewhat of a teenage function, but ideally, this function lasts a lifetime. We are capable of being in good physical condition throughout our lives, and this already represents a position of some influence. It should be noted that here we are talking about three pyramids, and they are sequential. The first pyramid answers the question of who a leader is. What kind of leader? Secondly, it is about what influence this leader organizes, how he influences the surrounding environment, and how he interacts with the surrounding environment. And third, how, by means of what. In this sense, this is the second pyramid of influence and the third pyramid of communication. That is, there is a leader, there is the influence of the leader, and the influence of the leader through communication. So when a body appears a healthy body, it is undoubtedly an influence because, well, we all have the experience that people who look better have an advantage over others. This is clearly visible in the youth environment. This is clearly visible, for example, in the harsh conditions of the army. This is clearly evident during job interviews. It is known that a person who looks athletic appears attractive, regardless of whether they are a young man or a young woman. They receive a preferential treatment. That is, if a person is athletic, then they already influence the fact of their presence in an environment of people who are not as athletic as they are. In this sense, at the level of loneliness, that is, what we call loneliness in communication, or at the level of individual persons, the athlete has a stronger influence. He is a leader. Behind the athlete are those who are weaker than him. In this case, weaker in physical attributes. The second level is that of a fighter. Who is a fighter? A fighter is a person who actively responds to a challenge. An athlete is just a phenomenon, while a fighter is already an action. A fighter is already a person who accepts the challenge. For example, imagine a corporate situation. A fighter is a person who actively carries out the task. This is a beginner manager who says, "Yes, I will do it." And he rushes into battle filled with energy, strength, and activity. And even if his level of leadership is still just at the level of simple tasks, combat tasks, he is a person who invests his energy, and therefore he is a leader among others who are simply appointed to this position. Or appointed to this position but cannot manifest themselves in any way. And it seems as if they have transferred their communal reality into a corporate reality, for example, or into a communal reality. They do not fight for their lives in any way. In this sense, a fighter is still a leadership position. Of course, the word fighter is simply understood. One can imagine such a person, and of course it is not always aggressive, but it is always active. It is always a response to a challenge. It is always a thirst for battle. With reality, the thirst for battle for oneself, for one's family, for one's corporation, for one's homeland. A fighter is a leader. Who is a fighter, and what influence does a fighter organize? If we look at it in a business mode, using a military metaphor, then a fighter is someone who... Discipline is managed at the second level of influence, which is the level of law, discipline, and instruction. In this sense, the most influential figures at the second level are administrators, meaning a person who is the best warrior may be given a position as a sergeant or may become a non-commissioned officer, thus starting to perform an administrative function. The second level of influence is the level of administration, the level of management of regulations, the level of position, and the level of status within an organization, including family status. Communication is organized at the level of contacts. One approaches, speaks, and leaves. There is contact. A fighter interacts and organizes their influence through the regulations of relationships. The third level is the tactician, a person who is capable of handling situations. A situation is a cycle of contacts that lead to a certain result. A tactician is someone who can carry out a small operation or several operations. Essentially, an operation is a fighter, while tactics are the sum of operations, the sum of actions that can lead to a result. A tactician is already a person who leads to a result at the level of a fighter, where the result is not yet important. What matters is the activity itself. A fighter, tactician, is a person who organizes their influence at the level of finance. In this sense, finance is hierarchically above law and administrative regularity. And finances in this sense determine how our regulations will be structured below. At the level of communication, the tactical sauté property is familiarity. A tactician is a person capable of not just making contact, but also organizing acquaintances and establishing new connections. And through this, a tactician emerges. A tactician is a person who has a choice. The third level, or rather the fourth level. We say that the fourth level of a leader is a warrior leader. A warrior is a person who is capable of fighting for principles. A warrior is a person who does not seek a fight. This is not mandatory, but they are a professional. A professional is a person of honor, someone who stands up for certain beliefs and values, who is true to their word, and for whom it is very important to embody these values. In this sense, we call a leader with values a warrior, and they occupy the fourth place in the hierarchy. Of course, a warrior is a person with technologies. Again, using a military metaphor, this person has weapons. If we use a production metaphor, this is a person who advocates for the superiority of technology over the quantity of labor. For example, a person who defends and builds business processes, a person who is structured with technology, because a fighter always fights, while a warrior engages intelligently. And in this sense, the communication organized by a warrior is called comradely communication. In this sense, it is already a kind of brotherhood camaraderie, a camaraderie of people based on certain principles. According to the principles they advocate, the next level is already a somatic level of the throat, a charismatic level, the level of the hero. We say that the hero is right here. A hero is a person who is capable of calling out, who manifests, who not only defends principles but is also able to voice them. This is a person who leads others. If a warrior can be trusted to lead others, it means he will not betray. The hero already declares principles. And according to this, his influence is organized by principles. That is, he provides certain information. The next level of influence over technology is the informational level. And what is important now, for example, what is important in the coming year? What is important in the coming week? The hero is a person who possesses information, is capable of sorting it, and can operate with it. His level of communication is characterized by friendliness. He can share information with some people and not with others. A hero defines his supporters and those who follow him, and in this sense, friendliness is a heroic category. There are not many people capable of true friendship. True friends are those who can give up something for your sake. These people possess a certain heroic quality. There are not many true friends because not many people are willing to go through something for you or share the same level of information or ideology. The next level is the strategic level. A strategist is no longer a charismatic leader, but a person who thinks, capable of calculating long-term steps and looking far ahead. A strategist is a person who manages resources. A strategist is a person who is capable of reallocating these resources. A strategist is a person who is capable of creating a composition on the timeline, the composition of life, the composition of activities, the composition of the enterprise's life, and the level of influence of the strategist is communication. Communication, unlike information, possesses the quality of interest, meaning that communication is not just about exchanging information, but about advocating for certain tasks within communication. A strategist is a person who operates with information to achieve solutions for various tasks. One could say that communication resembles negotiations. It is a level of partnership. This level of partnership involves a strategist who is engaged in strategic relationships. A strategic leader of a strategic order is a true partner. A partner is a person who is more than just a friend, because with a friend we can share moments and achievements, while a partner is someone with whom I embark on a difficult journey. A partner is a person to whom I can entrust my life-sustaining resources. A business partner is a person more than just a friend. When my business brings something in, I can share it with a friend. But for something to come of it, I need a true partner. That's why it's sometimes said that one shouldn't build a business with friends, because they are two different categories: friendship and partnership. The last level of leadership is the level of the mystic. A mystic is a person who is close to certain subtle irrational energies, to subtle irrational properties of thinking, and to irrational properties of feeling. In general, this is a person who goes beyond strategy into some other plane. A person who interacts with reality on a mystical level, on an alchemical level, and through this interaction, he becomes what we call a mystical warrior in culture, and it is commonly said warrior of light, on the path of the warrior. These are popular memes in our ideology. It is fundamentally important that a mystic is a person who influences their state, a person who is constantly charismatic and organizes a charismatic reality around them, a person who is constantly critical, organizes a gloomy reality around them. Perhaps he is gloomy and critical because he is not here somewhere. But fundamentally, the state is the leading form of influence. And of course, the mystic is solitary. A mystic is a person whose center and support is their inner being. His solitude is his anchor point, his point of strength. The moment when a person no longer needs anyone, their selfhood is manifested, their character is revealed, their strategy is shown, and so on. My friends, thank you for asking questions, for writing, for reacting, because you provide fertile ground for the mind. You allow unexpected things to unfold for me as well, because your contexts and perspectives on life are very curious, simply humanly speaking. So, subscribe to our channels, write to me, and I will gladly continue this practice of responding, talking, and being in dialogue. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being passionate people. It is precisely such people who find their path into the future. Well, we are building an entire boulevard. So come out to our boulevard in your festive attire. This is our boulevard of Nera.